Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Steve Eats the Food Calendar. I'm Steve. Today, April 13th, National Peach Cobbler Day. Never made a cobbler before, I don't think I have anyway. Found this recipe for one, so I decided to give it a try because it's got a little rum in it too, which I thought was kind of cool, a little dark rum. Release the Kraken! And I figured, all right, let me try this one. Now the thing is, this is also meant for a slow cooker. So originally I was going to do it in the slow cooker, but I thought, I don't know. That's because I never do desserts in my slow cooker, and I always would like to try them to see if they work or not. But with a cobbler, you need that crusty, crumb kind of top, and I thought, how is that going to do that in the slow cooker? So a friend of mine who consults me on a lot of these shows that we throw ideas back and forth at each other, said just do it in the oven the way you're supposed to do it. So that's what we're going to do today. It's the same recipe, but you can do it in the oven as well. So that's where we're going to do it today. Okay, so here's all our stuff today. Let's get started. Peach cobbler, here we come. Okay, for our peach cobbler today, for the filling, you need 3 pounds of fresh or frozen peaches. We're using frozen. You need 3/4 cup of apple butter, 1/4 cup of dark rum, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. For the cobbler topping, you need 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 cups of yellow cornmeal, 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, a tablespoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, 1¼ cup of whole milk, and 1/2 cup of melted unsalted butter. Alrighty, so let's get started here. We're going to take I have a 6½ quart Dutch oven here, because I'm assuming that this recipe, the way that they have it listed, is because they assumed you were going to be using a big crock pot, because that's what or slow cooker, because that's what you need. But it also said to use a 6½ quart. Well, this is the biggest thing I have. It says 5½ to 6 quart container to do this in. So I'm using my Dutch oven without the lid, obviously. Okay, so we're going to take our peaches. We used frozen peaches today because, of course, as usual, this calendar loves to give us stuff out of season. So we're going to use these frozen ones. We thawed them, defrosted them, and then we drained them to try to make sure there wasn't too much liquid in there, because I didn't want this whole base to be like really runny or something, So to that we're going to add our apple butter. Okay. Our sugar. Our salt, and our dark rum. Okay, so we're just going to mix this all together until everything is nicely blended and incorporated. Alright, so we have our cobbler base ready. Our peaches looks really good so far. I can't wait for this thing to bake. I got some vanilla ice cream for this too, because this thing needs vanilla ice cream. In my mixer, I'm going to make my cobbler top. So now what I'm going to do is, it's easier to put these in without that paddle in the way. I'm going to add my flour, my cornmeal, my sugar, baking powder, and salt. Okay? So we're going to put our dry ingredients in there first. And just on low, just mix those together. Once we got those kind of mixed together, we're going to add our milk first, and then once the milk is incorporated, we're going to add the butter last. Okay? Alrighty. And then once our cobbler topping mix is pretty much smooth as can be. We're just going to put that right over the top, okay? Just try to coat the top of this as much as you possibly can, as evenly as you can. We'll spread it out once we get it in, but I'm assuming, since I've never made a cobbler before, that this is going to bake up kind of like, you know, like when you do biscuits on top of some kind of a pie, or, you know, chicken and biscuits or something in a casserole. You know, you put the biscuits on top raw, and then they just bake up with, as the dish cooks, you know, they just puff up and bake up. So I'm assuming this is going to do the same thing. It's going to become like a puffy, baked, biscuity kind of top. Okay? That's cobbler. Crisp is something totally different. I'm sure there's a couple crisps coming up during the year. That one's really nice too, with the cinnamon crumb top, but this will be cool to try this first time doing a cobbler. Okay? So, there she is. You can see that all evened out on the top. We're going to put this into our 350 preheated oven. We're going to do that for about, I don't know, 40, 45 minutes. It is a baking dish, obviously. Keep an eye on it, especially with this cobbler top. It'll make it easy to see, because basically when the cobbler top is done, it's done. Because the bottom is, you know, pretty much just, you're just going to heat it up with the sugars and are going to caramelize and everything with the peaches. So the bottom will be totally fine. It's not like you're having to cook that, but as soon as you see your puff, you don't want to burn your cobbler top. You know what I mean? Alrighty. See in about 45 or so when this thing comes out of the oven. I'm not putting the top on because we don't want the steam to stay in there and wet this whole thing down. We need it to go, go, go. Alrighty? See you in a bit. Alrighty. Let's see what we got. Wow. Look at that. Just want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. Look at that. Wow. I want to make sure this dough is cooked through. So let's get the old clean fork in. Oh, no, that's still battery. That's going to go back in. Not ready yet. Alright, second chance. Let's see. Much better this time. We did the fork test. Came out nice and clean. I actually, when I put it back in, I put the cover on it for about 10 minutes or so, just to let the heat build inside, let it bake this doughy topping here, this cobbler top. So we're just going to let this cool down for about 10-15 minutes, because it's scalding right now, I'm sure. And then we're going to get some ice cream and stick this in a bowl, and we're going to try out our first time rum-infused cobbler. Alrighty? Be back in a few. Alright, let's scoop some of this out. Look at that. Look. You got like this cornbread kind of topping here, this cobbler top with the peaches, the rum-infused peaches. Now all this needs is a big scoop of vanilla ice cream right on top, just like that. Let me get a spoon and we'll be right back. Alright, let's give this a try. Gotta let that ice cream melt in there a little bit, so it kind of creates that nice creamy texture there with the bread and the peaches. It's going to be really hot. You can see this thing is still steaming here. Yeah, it's definitely like the addition of the cornmeal to the bread makes it like a sweet, like a corn muffin, like, you know, that sweetness that you get in a corn muffin. Sweetness of the peaches and really good. Definitely needs the ice cream to kind of put this all together. First time cobbler, we did pretty good. Now, I have to give a shout out to my friend Tony, who told me Don't do this in a slow cooker. And if it would have failed, it would have been a horrible, horrible thing that I would have had to listen to. But anyway, enjoy everybody. Peach Cobbler Day. Make your own. See if you can find it somewhere. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Alrighty? See you tomorrow.